So Speedsters, even though The Flash is still a couple of weeks away, returning Tuesday the 16th of April, we've now finally got our description for Godspeed. Well, this actually came out a few days ago, but I wanted to do a discussion video based on it and just do a few predictions and speculations about what could be going down in that Godspeed episode. So let's break this down. How's it going, Speedsters? Welcome to a brand new Flash video. So today, as you just heard in the intro, we're going over the synopsis for the episode Godspeed. Now, I think, it isn't a surprise to say that a lot of people are hyped for this episode. Not only because Godspeed is coming, but this is also addressing the fallout of the cliffhanger-ish episode that, was Nora revealing her secret to her father, her mother, and Team Flash in general. Everyone was giving her the evil stare as Sherlock gave the breakdown in chronological order of how things went down since she first made her appearance in the Crisis on Earth X crossover up until present day. And now, with, how Barry was kind of triggered and put her immediately in the pipeline, Team Flash are going to have to figure out, can they trust Nora or not? And the way they're doing that, by the sounds of the synopsis, is through by looking in Nora's journals. So without further ado, guys, let's get into this. But first of all, subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date with more Flash videos just like this, and go ahead and like the video if you do enjoy the video, as I really do appreciate your support. So here we go, the synopsis for episode 18 of The Flash, directed by Daniel Panabaker. After discovering that Nora is working with Thawne, Barry and Iris disagree about how to handle their daughter in the wake of this shocking news. Team Flash isn't sure they can trust Nora, so they go through her journal to find out exactly how she came to work alongside their greatest nemesis. So, that wasn't as long as maybe you were thinking, like Boba, why are you making a whole video about it? It's more like, I want to just talk about what I think could happen, what Team Flash might be thinking and what they might discover. How does Godspeed fit into all of this? Because I've been reading posts of people saying things like, oh, I bet Godspeed is just going to be a cameo or something, just like the Accelerated Man or something like that. And that is completely fair enough to say, because I think people really want Godspeed to be something, because a lot of people are really hyped for this episode that is titled Godspeed. So naturally, when they introduced another Speedster, the Accelerated Man, and they just shown literally Speedster equivalent clips of him, and there's no character development or even character substance to that Speedster, I get that worry. But I do think, just first of all, even though this, synopsis doesn't mention Godspeed, he will be more prominent than what you think. They're obviously, I think, got to introduce him in such a way that he, if you've seen the behind the scenes pictures, he's more than a cameo. If you're comparing him to the Accelerated Man, for example, he's just run in the background or nodded at someone. But just to address the Godspeed stuff right off the bat, no, I do not think he will be a cameo just like the Accelerated Man. Sure, he might not be in this episode as much as you think he might be, but do not compare it to the Accelerated Man. If you've seen the behind the scenes photos, as I said, you will know that he was attached to those wires as if he was falling. Maybe Barry was battling him. Maybe it's a flashback to when Nora was facing him. But let's get into this, as of the synopsis. It says that Barry and Iris, disagree about how to handle their daughter in the wake of this shocking news. And now you saw people kind of kicking up a ruckus about this as well. Like, why is Iris instantly defending Nora? There's no excuse or something like that. Well, for me, it's like I get both sides of it. Barry is reacting a bit impulsively on emotion, but I completely understand it. Imagine the person who killed your mother, has caused all kinds of havoc. I feel like I don't need to explain the history of Thawne, so I'm not going to. And then your daughter is working with him. Not only that, as it shows in the trailer from a few weeks back, she's been lying since day one. That's a paraphrase, but Barry says something like that. But on the other side of things, Iris, as a mother who struggled to get that connection with her daughter for quite a few episodes in the beginning of this season, probably only wants to see the best in her daughter, and is kind of the optimist, I'm sure there's a reason for this. Barry, should you really be doing this or be treating her that way? Surely we can let her off the pipeline or something like that. And I don't think that's unreasonable. I think it is a bit of bias, because I don't think it's I don't want to ruin the relationship with my daughter, so I'm going to be automatically on her side. It's just that there's a lot more sentimentality for Barry than Iris. Now, yes, I'm not negating that Iris's boyfriend, Eddie, got shot. Well, you know, Thorn didn't shoot him, but you know what I mean? I'm not saying there isn't any emotional weight with Thorn and Iris, to Iris. I'm just saying that Barry's connection to Thorn and Nora's betrayal will be a lot more impulsive than Iris's, I think. Plus, mixed in with the bag of how Iris and Nora started off rocky this season, I think that makes sense. So they're disagreeing with probably how to, like, you know, handle their daughter in the wake of the shocking news, as the synopsis says, because I'm thinking, oh, should we let her out or something like that, and they're just debating, well, do we let her out? What do we do? So as a result, you know, if they, as Team Flash isn't sure they can trust Nora, they go through her journal to find out exactly how she came to work alongside the greatest nemesis, and I think this is going to be a very innocent, manipulative story, you know, from Nora, well, from Thorn's side to Nora. So if we look back at the only trailer we quite literally have, maybe we'll get another one before the episode airs, and that could be, you know, in the next week or something for all we know. We're gonna have to wait and see. You know, there are blatant flashbacks. There are flashbacks to when Nora had her long, you know, hair, and, you know, you can remember and liken that to when she was, for example, at the wedding on Crisis on Earth X. This is when Nora was a newbie speedster. Now, if you won't remember back to way at the end of episode 1, where Nora was doing, my name is Nora Allen, and I'm going to save my dad, blah, blah, blah. She said something like, I've been doing this for 6 months. I'm Central City's protector for the past 6 months. So she's had this kind of alliance with Thorn for 6 months. Sure, I guess she could have known him for longer, but the way this trailer gives it off to me is from the perspective of, you know, you see her looking at the Reverse Flash suit, you see that she's only got her power, and I think she said, or maybe I'm getting the 6 month thing mixed up for when she was talking to Iris, that she had that argument relative to her time with, you know, future Iris 6 months ago. But either way, she's only been having her speedster powers for 6 months. That's what I'm trying to get down to the bottom of here. So this hasn't been going on for a massively long time. And, you know, it's also important to remember that when in the mid-season finale, Barry and Nora were traveling through time to see Zoom and, you know, Savitar and everything like that, she literally didn't know that this guy murdered, like Thorn murdered her grandmother. She didn't know. So that's why there isn't any sinister stuff to this. And I feel we're going to find out a very kind of manipulative story from Thorn to Nora, or maybe it won't be as manipulative as what you may think from the Reverse Flash. It's just that he completely left out all the details. Now, I'm not negating that the Reverse Flash probably does low-key have a plan to get out of freaking Dodge and, you know, cause havoc or something. But, you know, he probably just wanted to leave out the details because she is his only hope of getting out that freaking prison cell. You know, whether that's execution or administering a metahuman cure so he's not a freaking much of a threat to anyone apart from any other human being. So naturally, with the synopsis saying Team Flash isn't sure they can trust Nora, so they go through her journal to find out exactly how she came to work alongside their greatest nemesis. That is exactly what they're going to do. So obviously they're going to decode the whole journal. That's probably thanks to Sherlock having tried to, you know, decode it this whole time. It's not going to be a matter of like the beginning, or was it last year or whatever it was, when they could only decode one symbol and it said this house is bitchin'. They will have the ability to decode it all now, and they'll read it. It'll probably consist of the whole episode to decode it, and that's how they'll get chunk by chunk of present day and then flashbacks. It'll be like buffering a video, for example. This is just a theory of mine. I'm just guessing that's how they're going to pace the episode. Like the computer won't just instantly, you know, decode the whole journal. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, but I think that'd be a neat way of doing it, so they find out bit by bit a part of the story, and thus shows the flashbacks on the screen and makes us a bit more maybe sympathetic, and Team Flash as sympathetic to Nora's relationship with Thorn, because she would have gone there so naive, had just found out she had a freaking speed dampening chip in her freaking body. You know, her mother never told her about it, and Thorn is this, you know, person who she knew was bad with her father, and she's always like, you really hate him, don't you? And she almost said that and delivered those lines in such a way that it was like why? Like, he's not that bad, is he? Because when she's been seeing, you know, Thorn, and you know, what he refers to her as his little runner, or like the little runner, whatever, it's been more of like probably, you know, step-in father relationship. It's very messed up. That's why I really love the concept of this season. It's fascinating to me, especially obviously the Thorn, Nora, and Team Flash drama. As they go through the journal, they're probably going to figure out that, oh, I see how this exactly happened, and it's no way near as bad as what we think. There's no sinister element to it involved. She's been just learning the ways. Sure that she probably knew, and she does know that the Reverse Flash in her timeline through the Flash Museum and going in there ever since she was a freaking kid was a bad guy. So, a tap on the wrist for that. But when she probably finally got to him out of not knowing anyone else apart from maybe Godspeed in the future or something like that, that's something that we need to discuss about how he ties in potentially. She obviously saw that maybe he wasn't that bad. He's the only one who can train her. That's why she ran to the future when she found out that he murdered her grandmother, because she almost couldn't believe that the guy she had been speaking to, despite being labeled as one of the Flash's villains, would do that to her family. She was absolutely freaking flabbergasted. That's why that happened at the end of the mid-season finale, and she was in tears confronting Thorn. But guys, we can't forget that this episode is called Godspeed, and behind the scenes details also speak of how Godspeed kills another speedster. And then when this happens, this has my mind going in several different directions. It's like, did Nora only go to Thorn because she saw Godspeed kill the fellow speedster who she could have gone to for training, for example, and that's why she's screaming no in the trailer? This is what I mean. I don't want to speculate too much about this because this is so up in the air. Who knows what is really going on in that scene, for example, where she screams no in the trailer. But it sure is interesting, and it sure is interesting to see how Godspeed is going to factor in, because they have very purposely left him out of the synopsis, left him out of the first trailer for this episode. And the only thing I can think of that we're going to get a bit more information with him is that if they offer another promo saying, don't forget, by the way, the Flash is returning, this Tuesday, April 16th on the CW, and then they actually show a little flash of Godspeed, maybe with a color corrected kind of sheen of the screen suit. That's what I'm kind of predicting. They might do that. And there's no harm in doing that as well. That just serves more hype the week before. It's just all tactical, makes sense. And, I just think that Godspeed would have to be introduced in the future, not present day. But I don't know. I'd love to know your thoughts on that down in the comments below as well. But I think no matter what, the way this will end up in this episode is that Godspeed has to get away, surely. If it's just an episode called Godspeed, they spent that much time designing a very comic book accurate suit, and he just gets captured and put in the pipeline. That just wouldn't make sense. So he's going to have to get away. This could make sense as to how he can return for more story in season 6. And some people are theorizing that he could merge with the Red Death storyline, because obviously it's not going to be a Bruce Wayne, Barry Allen combination on the TV show. And who knows? But then again, I've always kind of been against that theory, just because why introduce a comic book character like Godspeed and then just also, morph him into the Red Death, a whole separate other character? It just doesn't really add up to me. So that's why I think they might be 2 separate season villains. Red Death could be next season's villain, but that doesn't mean that Godspeed isn't also going to come into the mix for another special episode or 2 and continue his story. And I think most of all that I'm kind of looking forward to with Barry and Nora in those future scenes is the inevitability, surely, that Barry's going to go visit Thorn in his cell. That must just be, just got to happen. And imagine how powerful that scene's going to be when he's like, screw you for taking advantage and manipulating my daughter's freaking mind when she, when you clearly knew that she had no one else to turn to control her powers or something. Barry and Thorn speaking in 2049 has got to happen. Let me know what you want to happen. Do you want that to happen? Do you want other things to happen? Let me know down in the comments below. Let's go all out on predictions for this episode. I know this was a bit of a rambly video. That's why, I said discussion at the beginning. But I just love talking about the Flash with you guys and hearing your opinions. And, the premise of this upcoming episode is probably what most of us are in this season for, beyond, the kind of underwhelming kind of main villain cicada storyline. I've enjoyed him. I'm not throwing mega shade there, but you get what I mean. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, guys. Like the video if you did enjoy it. Subscribe if you're brand new. Thank you to all of my patrons appearing on the screen. You guys rock. Thank you so much for helping me fuel the content that I create on this channel. Other links to my Discord are in the description down below, Twitter, and blah, 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 blah. And thank you so much for watching. I need to end this video because I've been talking for too long. See you in the next video. Goodbye.